this is the Irish mesh stitch. I actually made an attempt on decreasing, on trying to decrease the stitches on the side, but it was confusing.
Hey Luke, how's it going, man? I just wanted to check in with you and see how things are going on your side. I really think I'm gonna marry.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Julia and I do knitting, fiber arts stuff in this channel. So this is the first knitting podcast ever. I don't know in which existing category in my channel should I put this, but I just realized that I've never talked about my whips, finished objects, or anything of that sort. So yeah, welcome to the first podcast ever. So just a little intro. As a knitter, I don't really make a lot of clothes at the moment. I don't have the time, and I also don't like casting on a lot of projects. So first I'm just gonna show you, I think, some of my finished objects, which is not really a lot. I think these are the ones that I started back in June until just this August. So I'm gonna start first with my second shrug. I did my first shrug crop sweater back in May, and I didn't really like how it turned out. I mean, it looks nice, but the fit is just it's like a 4 out of 10 for me. So yeah, I don't know, but I just from the start of the year, early start of the year, I just had this thing with shrugs for some reason. Way before, I told myself, when that Zara arm warmer thing went out, I was nah, I'm not gonna do that. It looks pointless. I don't know where to use it. And also a lot of people were saying that it's the type of clothing that doesn't make sense at all. But then for some reason, it became trendy, and I was like, oh, that those shrugs or arm warmers that I saw on Instagram, on Pinterest, online, they actually look good, and they look wearable and breathable, and and a lot of other small creators, knitters and crocheters, just did those. And I said what if I try that? I also wanna make a shrug. I also wanna do my own take on the shrug that actually looks nice. So but it actually took me 3 attempts to finally make a shrug that's wearable for me. So this is the second shrug that I made. I still haven't weaved in the ends because I kind of just abandoned it when I finished it, because when I fitted this, I did all the measurements and stuff, but I didn't take into account how the yarn that I use doesn't really have any stretch. So this one is a mix of synthetic mohair and some cotton, this one, and the others are mohair, and I think these are synthetic ones because they don't feel I did a burn test with this mohair. I just bought it online on Shopee, and I did a burn test, and it burned, it turned into solid black, which means that it's a synthetic fiber. So yeah, overall, like what I like about this is the color. It really looks nice. I also haven't blocked this or anything, so that's why it looks wonky right now. But I think when I block this one, it can it can have a better shape. But yeah, like style wise, this looks good. But my problem with this is the fit. I don't know like where I like maybe I just didn't really I didn't take note of the allowance of the size allowance that I should have for the shoulder area, because when I wear this, it's just too tight. It it barely comes completely on my shoulder. So yeah, I don't know if I can still revise this or if I will just like unravel this. I don't know, but I kind of just like abandon it. But yeah, these are like one of the few finished objects that I have. Yeah, but I also made another shrug attempt, which is a much better one, which is this one. Like it looks ridiculous, like when you like look at this form, like just like laid out like this, it just looks like one straight piece of clothing, really. But this one is a mix of cotton and mohair, the synthetic mohair that I got. It is the same one that I used with this, and I used it with this. And as you can see, like, oh, just gonna focus that on. Like, the colors look really nice. This one is cotton and this one is the mohair. So I used two strands of mohair for this one, and I still made it like a sort of like bell sleeves. So yeah, overall, like this is good. And but it is still warm even though this is cotton, like because these parts are like synthetic mohair. Like when you wear this, it can really keep arm your arm warm. So yeah, I really like this one. It turned out really good. And oh, at first, like um I had to figure out like how I would make this neck part, because I really cannot see like any base patterns online, like how to make a shrug. So I kind of like looked at existing shrugs that I see online, and I kind of like just like studied it and kind of like reverse engineered how they made the shrug. So yeah, so here like what I did is that I started to knit in round at the bottom, and I just made consistent decreases. I think like about five decreases all the way up. And I stopped right here and casted off a couple of stitches for this part of the arm, for the armhole. And then I started knitting straight up until I think this part. This part is this thing here. So yeah, and then after I knitted that, I just like split them into two to make the neck hole. So yeah, and then I just knitted straight again, and then casted more stitches in the round, and then increased this time. So that's like the process. It's like from the bottom, then up, and then all the way down again. So you increase stitches, and then you make the neck hole, and then now you decrease stitches, and then you make the neck hole, and then you increase stitches up to the bottom. So yeah, that's it. I really like this one. Although I would still make a couple of changes. especially with this part, like the neck hole thing. I just don't like how it looks stretched out like this, and I just found out that it's better if you do a couple of like cast offs for this one, maybe about like 6 or 7, so that you will have like the space for this area of the body for the shoulder, because like when you wear this, it kind of like it can choke you a bit because these two parts are just a bit too close. So yeah, if I'm gonna be making a neck shrug, definitely gonna take note of that. And also, since this is in stockinette, when I finished this, it just like curled really, it curled too much. So I decided to also make a crochet lining. So this is a single crochet that I did just like all around up to the armholes. And yeah, but other than that, other than the bit of problem with the neck hole, I really like how this turned out, and I'll definitely make one again, but in a different color, because I have way too much yarn at this point. So um yeah, so that's it for the shrug finish objects. And the next one that I have is this is like just one of the most beautiful knitwear that I have done so far. And yeah, when I finished this, I was just like, I'm gonna wear this. I'm gonna wear this a lot. And this is the Mood Slipover by Spectacles Trick. This is like the first or second time that I actually like bought a pattern, and I've been wanting to do this. And it was just like at first I've been eyeing on this like actually a lot of his spectacles tricks patterns, and I was just like, oh, it looks so hard. The intarsia part looks kind of hard, but yeah, it was just intimidating at first when I looked at the color chart, but it's a pretty easy pattern to do. So this one I knitted this in the recommended needle size I think is 3.5 and a 4.5, but I only had a 4mm and a 3mm. So I did a small size for this one. So I knitted this in small since I use also smaller needles compared to the recommended needle size. So I also I sized up. So yeah, I knitted this in small, and I actually use my reclaim yarn, the recycled yarn that I got from the unraveled sweater that I unraveled like weeks ago. And I actually have a video of the process of that one. I unraveled the sweater and dyed the yarn, which was a whole another process. So yeah, if you want to check that out, I think I'm gonna link it here so that you can watch it. So yeah, I used that one, and like this is so beautiful. Like look at this is the intarsia. This is the why is it so bright? Yeah, this is the intarsia part. It's so cute, and it's very breathable because the yarn that I use is 30 no 40% acrylic and then 60% cotton. So it has a lot of cotton fiber in it, and it's really soft. So yeah, it's not like too hot compared to wool, and it's also not too like thin and like how do you call this, yeah, like it's basically breathable. And I actually recommend this to like beginner knitters, or if you want to like want to try out Intarsha. And yeah, this is actually a pretty easy one. I think I finished this in about just like maybe a week. And while finishing the 100, which has like a very disappointing ending. So yeah, but that's a whole nother topic. So yeah, this is actually a knitted from the top down. At first I was very intimidated because I've never knitted anything like top down. It's always from the bottom up. Like even with the vests and other garments that I did before, it was just like I knitted them bottom up because I thought that that was easier. But like knitting from the top down is very interesting, and I found it easier than knitting from the bottom up. So yeah, you learn new things every day. And I think if ever I'm gonna do like some other vests in the future, I would like to do it top down. I just found it easier. I thought it was harder at first, but um, yeah, it was a really this was a really fun knit. And also um like this one, the collar though, the neck collar, I had to repeat this one because at first, like this is a knitted in a 1 by 1 rib, and then you fold it. Like at first I sewed it, like I folded in the collar and then sewed it, and it looks so wonky. It really didn't look great. So I frogged it, I unraveled it, and then I had to repeat it. And this time, instead of sewing the neckline, I knitted this one. Like as you can see, like you can see the knitted part. And yeah, like I think in my next projects, whenever I'm gonna do like a folded collar, I'm just gonna knit them instead of sewing it because it's much easier, at least for me. So yeah, this was a fun one. And I think that's just all for like my finished objects. Like I'm sorry if this is like kind of disappointing because I've had some sort of a knitting slump too, and um yeah, those are just like those are like actually all my finished objects for this year at least. And yeah, moving on to the next one. So okay, have my coffee here with me. Also commercial break, like it's so hot here right now, so I'm so sorry if you can hear the fan in the background. The heat is just like killing me. It has been raining for like the past 2 weeks, but now the sun is out again and it's just like really hot, and my hair looks so weird, like I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I'm actually still I'm actually on break with work. I'm gonna go back to work after filming this. And yeah, okay, let's go back to my whips. Some of the whips that I have. So I'm gonna start with this one. So this one is I don't have a name for this because okay, here's the thing. With my knits, I usually okay, wait a second. I'm just gonna fix my hair. This is annoying me. Okay, going back. So the thing is with my knits, I usually freehand them. So I don't really follow patterns. Like I just gather and use my knitting knowledge, my existing knitting knowledge to come up with designs. So this is one of my current whips. This is a like box vest. Is it a vest or just a top? The okay, so basically the design is it kind of looks like this one, but the the side area, this side area is open, and what I'm planning to do with this is to just like knit two panels of this one and then just like add the ties on two ties on the side, so that you know you can just like put it over and then tie it on the side and then you're done, like off you go. So yeah, this one I knitted this with actually like I'm not sure what kind of fabric is this, what kind of fiber is this, because I also just like bought this online. And yeah, I think this is maybe, I don't know, this other one is synthetic mohair, this one is boucle, but I think they're also like generally made of maybe acrylic or some synthetic fiber because they generally don't really feel that soft. But yeah, and I also mixed it with this beautiful chartreuse color. It's Balinese cotton, and then I mixed it with this colorful yarn, which is by the brand Darn Good Yarn, and this is Anamika silk. So those are the fiber combinations for this one. And you can see like at the back the horrific mess that it is. So good luck to me weaving in the ends. But yeah, that's just like the reality of knitting like in stripes and like in different colors. But overall, this is kinda, I parked this for a bit, for a month, because I was doing the mood slip over, because I was doing this one. And yeah, so I had to park this one, but just started knitting it again, the other panel, and I'm using this two blue yarn cakes. So yeah, that's it for my first whip. And another one is this one. This was supposed to be a tube top, and this is also a free-handed knit. This I use the Irish mesh stitch. So yeah, okay, so since I've just been knitting and stocking it, I started to get bored with it. So I had to find I wanted to look for and try out other knitting methods or techniques, like the mesh stitch, which is under the category of lace knitting, which I have been having a lot of fun with. So yeah, I'm gonna show you some of the swatches that I made, but let's get on with this first. So this is a top, and but the thing is, I made a bit of a mistake, like with the end part, like oops, the mic. I'm so sorry. Like this part, it kind of just like curls up. I think because the lining is crochet. I think I've made the border a bit too tight for the main panel, but I already blocked it. So I don't know, maybe I'm just like you see how it kind of curls, like the inside part. Um, yeah, I'm still gonna look for my fix for this one, but definitely, like, the Irish mesh is a fun one. It looked intimidating at first. This is a 4-row repeat, and it kind of confused me a bit at first, like with my first tries, because like with lace knitting, or at least the Irish mesh stitch, you have to take note of your rows. Like, you have to pay attention with it. It's not like stockinette where you can just like watch TV and then like knit while doing something else. Like with the Irish mesh, you have to take note of it, because like you do yarn overs and you have different stitches for the different rows. So yeah, but overall it was a fun one. Like, with this my first attempt with lace knitting, which I'm gonna practice more and look for more kinds and techniques in the future, because yeah, as much as I love stockinette for its simplicity and you can just like do a lot with it, it's just sometimes it can be boring to just like knit and stockinette. So yeah, and this, I think I'm just, instead of this being a tube top, I think I'm just gonna add straps with this one, and also some straps at the back, because this is how the back is supposed to look like. And like I'm now supposed to do like a tie, to add some ties at the back, so that you can like adjust it no matter like what your bust size is. So yeah, that's it for this whip. And yeah, oh, I'm gonna show you my attempt with mesh knitting. Okay, so I'm back with the sample mesh swatches that I made. So this was my first attempt at the Irish mesh stitch. So you can see, it's so pretty. This looks like a biscuit or crackers of some sort. And I also use the reclaim yarn that I got from the unraveled sweater. So yeah, this is the cotton and acrylic mix, and I also used it with this one. Like, with that sweater, I was able to make this one and then this one, and I'm also working on another piece of clothing. So yeah, like, wow, I made the most out of those reclaim yarn. So yeah, I recommend that if you're looking into buying more yarn, like, instead of buying more, maybe you have like an unraveled sweater lying around, or you can like go check out the thrift store for a really nice sweater and then unravel it. Although it can be a bit of a long process, but it's so rewarding, because like, this all came from an old sweater, like a big old H&M sweater that I had before, and I didn't know that you can turn it into this. So yeah, anyway, it's a whole another topic. But yeah, going back to my swatches, where did it go? Okay, so yeah, so I was saying, this is the Irish mesh stitch. I actually made an attempt on trying to decrease the stitches on the side, but it was confusing. Like, it was really a trial and error, because I was thinking like, oh, what if I want to make like a halter top of some sort with this mesh stitch, but it turned out to it was a failed attempt at decreasing. I had to figure out how to decrease stitches using the mesh stitch, because as of the mic, sorry, because as of the moment, it can really be confusing. So and I haven't found any resource on YouTube or on the internet how to decrease stitches with this mesh stitch. So still have to figure that out. So yeah, this was the Irish mesh stitch. And then the next one is just my another recent attempt with another mesh stitch, which is just a basic mesh knitting pattern. So I saw this at So Woolly's YouTube channel. YouTube. Why can't I just like pronounce words correctly today? Um, yeah, I just saw this at So Woolly's YouTube channel. Like, she does a lot of tutorials with different knitting stitches, and it was just like, it was yeah, it's really helpful if you're looking for tutorials of different stitches that you want to do. So yeah, like this one is the 2-row mesh stitch. So this is just a 2-row pattern. So what you do with this is you have a set up row of just like purls at the bottom. So at row 0 you purl all your stitches, and then in the next 2 rows you knit one, knit one, yarn over, knit 2 together, and then yarn over and knit 2 together. So you just repeat that whole process, and like on the wrong side you do the same, but instead of a knit 2 together you purl 2 together. So it looks really nice and very different. Like, I didn't know that you can do much with like just a lot of yarn overs. And I did another swatch attempt with this one. This is also from, I used this one. This is also the reclaim yarn from the old sweater. And yeah, like this one I mixed it with a bit of mohair, which is this one. So I mix this 2 together, and I am currently like, one of my whips is I'm working on a top using the 2-row mesh stitch, which is this one. Wow, all my yarn is just like getting tangled up on the floor. But yeah, anyway, like, ta-da, here you go. This is just like a one long strip of clothing. Like, it's pretty similar with this one, but I'm knitting this using 6mm needles because I want it to have to be, for it to be more open, for the stitches to be more open, so I'm using bigger needles. Like with this one, I use 4mm needles, and I just found it a bit too tight. So yeah, like this one is also kind of just like a pretty fast knit, and there's much less confusion with this one compared to the Irish mesh, which is a 4-row repeat. So yeah, this one is easier if you want to get into lace knitting. I recommend trying out the 2-row repeat. So yeah, this is also good, I think, for like shawls and summer tops, and if you want more breathable clothing, because the stitches are just like, they're more they are more open, and yeah, very breathable. So just a little like segue. I am not used to talking this long. I think it's okay. I've been talking for about 36 minutes now, according to the voice recording. But yeah, I guess I just wanna talk about and ramble about a bit like how like I don't know how to explain this. I'm trying to get my English words together, but like, oh, okay, so you know how knitting and crochet has become like been trendy, I think, ever since like the whole like, you know, this the thing that happened in the world, like with the pandemonium that happened. Like, a lot of people got into the hobby, including me. I just started knitting back in 2021 in February. Is it 2021 or 2020? I can't remember. But yeah, I've been knitting for almost 2 years now. But yeah, I like watching. I guess I started this podcast like because I love watching knitting podcasts, and I love seeing people like do and show their whips and their finished objects. But like with me, I just don't have that much of projects because, first of all, I really plan out my designs. Like, it kind of takes a long process from like sketching to like the concept and stuff, and it's actually just like a lot of trial and error for me, and that much of I don't have a lot of needles. And yeah, like for me, I think just a total of like 2 to 3 whips is the most that I can do, because I don't want them to just be lying around and not being touched and just like being abandoned. So yeah, like I know like there are like some people who like do a lot of whips at the same time, and yeah, that's cool. But with me, I also just like take note and take in consideration that the things that I make, the knitwear that I make, are the things that I can actually use. Like this one, I'm definitely gonna be using this. And before, when I was like kind of I'm still new into knitting. When I was kind of new into knitting, I just really wanted to make a lot of sweaters, and it was just like, you know, I had to calm myself down, because when knitting, like, or making or creating anything, like, you also have to be mindful of the stuff that you're making. Like, I think it's like is that the right term? Counterintuitive to just like make a lot of stuff just for the sake of making it, when you're actually like, you know, promoting or following the slow fashion movement. So yeah, like personally with me, I just like to take things slow and knit slow and try out new techniques so that like I can improve my knitting in general, which can also like improve the quality of the garments that I make. So yeah, but I really do wish that we have some sort of colder weather here so that I can make sweaters. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of just like my take on like let's say mindful knitting, or like mindful creating or designing stuff. So yeah, I believe that you don't really have to like make a lot at the same time. Sometimes it can be a pressure when you see a lot of people around you like doing a lot of stuff, like even in other areas, even like not let's say in art or like in music. It's like we're just like in the age of like content creation, and everybody's just like putting out content and putting out like different creative outputs, and it's just sometimes it can put a pressure on you to also like do the same. But yeah, especially like with making garments with knitting, like one of the things that I've learned is that the reason, actually one of the reasons that I took up knitting is that it's a slow hobby. Like it's meant to be like taken slow, at least for me. I find it really relaxing. It's therapeutic for me, and I would like to keep it that way. So yeah, I hope I made sense. And yeah, I'm sorry. Like this podcast is just really just like a ramble on different stuff. But anyway, I don't know what else. Like this podcast is just like a trial of some sort, and I've been talking a lot. I've been talking for 42 minutes now. So yeah, going back to my whips and some like summing up like my knitting, the stuff that I've knitted the past months. To be honest, I've had a lot of disappointments, especially with the shrugs. That was a whole lot of trial and error. Like before, I was really content and happy with the stuff that I've knitted, but I've never felt like so disappointed with some of the stuff that I did, especially with like the shrugs, especially with like this one. And like you learn a lot of stuff. Like I learned that yarn quality, the type of fiber that you use, really makes a lot of difference. And the thing is that I started also using and trying out natural fibers. I still have yet to make a video on my wool warehouse haul. Oh, it's starting to rain. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up because the audio will just get messed up. So yeah, I started using natural fibers, and it's just like so different from using synthetic ones. And yeah, I think it's not that I'm being a yarn snob, but when you start using natural fibers, it really changes your perspective, and there's no going back to, I think, at least for me, to using synthetic ones. Or I think even like, let's say if there's time that you have to use synthetic ones, it really just has to be good and soft and with quality. But me, I really prefer like natural fibers now, whether it be cotton, merino. It just makes a ton of difference with the garment, and it will also last a long time. So yeah, that's what I learned. Like this one, a big factor of why it turned out just like not so nice for me is the synthetic component. And also I had to still work on my tension and actually take note of allowance with the measurements when it comes to designing garments. So yeah, that's just like my take on fiber and natural and synthetic fibers. So yeah, it's not like I'm being a yarn snob, or maybe I am. But yeah, I also get it why a lot of people like use acrylic or a mix of acrylic and other stuff, because it's what's the most accessible for them. Like especially here in the Philippines, where it's hard to actually get natural fibers. Like there's no wool here, there's no merino here, there's no alpaca, there's just like cotton. So the rain is getting louder. But yeah, that's just like my take on it. And I think I'm gonna talk more about the different fibers and yarn stuff and my take on natural and synthetic fibers maybe on the next podcast. But that's it for today's video, and the rain is getting louder. And yeah, I'm also gonna get back to work now. So thanks again if you've reached at this part, and yeah, I'm gonna see you in the next one.